Folks, our first on-demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant, is now available for you to learn at your own pace for just €50, and it comes with a certificate upon completion. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for more details. Support this podcast by supporting our sponsors. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 4 of a 5-part series. And we are joined by Marianella from Farmers Project. We are talking about direct trade from the coffee producer's perspective in this series. It's been fascinating. And today we are going to talk about some of the myths that the coffee industry from the consuming end of the market have about coffee producing. So Marianella, tell us about some of those myths.
Thank you, Lee. I think that this is an important topic because the misunderstandings are wide and far. I hear a lot of times like the farmers want help almost in a way of like they want charity.
Okay.
And I have never come across any farmer, any of my neighbors that have a handout for charity. Everybody just wants respect and value. Value is what everybody's looking for. Is just value my crop, value dignity. My quality. Exactly. And so I believe that we, for the consumer to think that farmers, they don't want to farm anymore. That's another myth. And that they just want help, and it's a huge myth. And when I say they don't want to farm anymore, yes, we do have a migration problem. We have a lot of people that are trying to find better opportunities. You can't blame the farmer. We're all looking. When I hear the term sustainability for the farmers, I cringe.
Makes me want to see.
Not that. It's profitability for the farmers. Who in this world wakes up every morning to just sustain? Everybody wants to succeed and prosper, right? So to me, one of those myths is just that the farmers are out to just kind of wait for some help, and it's just better opportunities and value for the product. Another one is huge, is that a lot of people think the solution is provide financing, and the farmers really don't want financing. For the most part, it is already extremely difficult to budget to even have enough to put back into your farming cycle. After your harvest. You receive that one payment a year kind of thing that you had 2-3 months of harvest. You paid the co-op what you owed. You paid your labor for the harvest. You put a little bit into maybe infrastructure that you needed desperately within your farm, and repairing some pipes and repairing your little shed or things like that, or your gate, and then trying to budget what you're going to have for your family for the rest of the year, hopefully with the help of other income from maybe your kids that are working already, because most of the farmers are already past their 55s. I mean, the average is getting close to 60. So but there's a big myth that farmers want financing because it's like lending to a person that just cannot pay back. So that's the news around the neck. If you think about the collateral, what's the collateral is just the farm. But really, if producing coffee is already not even paying for the cost of production, why would you sink a farmer with more finance?
Well, and the interest on some of these loans is obscene.
Exactly.
Absolutely obscene. Agricultural loans are amongst the highest interest rates in the world, between 30 and 50%.
Correct. Predatory lending.
It's predatory.
Yes. And so that's why a lot of banks are, their real estate purse is filled with coffee farms for foreclosure. And so it is good for them, or for the real estate sharks coffee farms that are in beautiful places. So there are a lot amazing developments going on. Where it used to be a beautiful farm is now a nice condominium development, So
Right.
there are other people looking at financing as oh yeah, this is going to be helpful for the producer, but it's a myth. Producers are not looking to go in debt. It's really as an eternal debt. They is everybody. We're all looking for value and for the right pricing. A huge myth that it shows me that that person has not been on the ground is when we're talking about the struggles of farming and we're going through the farm and everybody's like, oh yeah, this is difficult terrain and this is remote and this is like my farm, Café con Amor, is 100% off grid, and everybody's like, wow, this is wild. And so one of the things that people say, well, if coffee is not giving you enough, why aren't you guys just producing something else? Why didn't you bring some cows or goats? Or why don't you do intercropping? And why don't you, just have, you have that part of that terrain that is not developed, and maybe you can plant some vegetables. And I am thinking, wow, first of all, if you're producing coffee, it really takes your full day. It's exhausting to just keep up. The other part is, can you see the logistics working if I grew tomatoes here?
I
I mean,
just I just have this image of like, where the fuck am I going to get this magical wand that's going to automatically make this soil properly fertile for the tomatoes, given that I've been growing fucking coffee on it for all of this time?
exactly.
And you, Mr. Coffee Roaster, you in all of your wisdom is the
Yes,
person who's going to sit here and tell me how to coffee farm. This drives me crazy, Marianella.
it is. I have to bite my tongue a lot because I'm
I
like,
don't.
do you see the facilities here to like, warehouse grapes or something, or start with like actually planting, vineyards or something? And one of the ones, Lee, that was that really opens eyes is when we go to Marco and Maricella's farm, Circle Farm, one of the Farmers Project members. They actually have one big plot with avocado. And I tell everybody that avocado in 2018, we all got to go to the SCA. It was a huge deal for us to go as a team to the SCA. And Marco and Maricela financed their trip with the sale of the avocados. And they're like, oh my God, that's brilliant. Why don't you all plant avocados? And I say, okay, Marco, Marcela, tell them what happens with your avocados every year. Well, 2 weeks before they even ripen, Marco, his twins that are 18 years old, and his father, his brother kids, all the boys, all the men, set up, not even tents, because they don't really have camping tents, but just little shacks within the coffee field. Every night with flashlights and their dogs, they have to spend for 2 weeks making sure the avocados are not stolen. Because
That's
the very
wild.
first year, isn't that wild?
That's wild.
Yes.
You have to go out and protect the avocados.
Yes. The very first year, they learned the hard lesson where they were so happy to see their first crop of avocados. And just one morning, they woke up and there were no avocados in the trees. Somebody came and took them all at night. So now, how about spending 2 weeks out there every night, just watching your avocados ripen up enough to sell them in the market, which they do have a truck and they can take them to a farmer's market and sell them, or mom and pop stores that, the stores that sell your bread and your, your
The
bakeries and stuff.
bodega.
And so it's not feasible. It's just not
No.
feasible to do other crops, and it's not feasible for the farmer to try to diversify. And so, yes, we always ask the farmer to do more, as if, like you said, there was some kind of wand that just appears, and now you have personnel that works for you or something.
It's just the entitlement of thinking. I mean, we had the same kind of discussion with Andreas Felipe Ospina when we were talking about how when people just say, we need you, Mr. Producer or Miss Producer, we need you to start processing with koji without any kind of understanding that you're breaking international treaties by taking a microbe into a new origin country where it's never existed before. Like the entitlement in that, Marianella, as though we don't have to care about how that's going to affect or impact the producer's ecosystem.
Yes, yes, yeah. I think another, in talking about the ecosystem, I think another myth is that producers don't really know what sustainability is.
Right.
And I absolutely...
Neither do most roasters, let's be real.
I know. I mean, I have gotten really upset with people that say, well, can you show us what are you doing to, to be sustainable? And are you guys recycling? And are you guys, measuring your carbon footprint and doing this? And I say, okay, well, we'll show you what we're doing. First of all, ours are small farms. Nobody's going to care about our own land more than us. We have water, which is a treasure that we need, and we're going to protect it. So you can see we leave a buffer so that we make sure that those trees are protecting the water source, the water springs. We're going to be the ones that want our farm nice and clean, no garbage on our farms. We don't, what we are struggling to pay the high prices for green inputs, because that's another thing is obviously as prices are low, what are producers going to buy for the inputs? Well, the cheaper, right? Just like, if you think about a person that has low income, for the most part, they're going to go to the grocery store and they're not going to buy organic, right?
No.
Because organic is more expensive. So we really care, and we know what sustainability is because we see it every day. If our plants are healthy, we know we're doing the right thing. If they're going to hell and they look like shit, then we know we're putting the wrong thing, right? So, and to me, that what upsets me is, because I am privileged to see the coffee shops and to see the whole cycle, I'm like, oh my God, you really are strict about how do we prove our footprint is very green, but yet I come into a coffee shop and the garbage can is flowing with plastic.
Yeah.
There are piles of napkins thrown out, and they're just like, the AC is blowing and the door to the patio is open. And I'm like, or the water is running behind the counter as the baristas are preparing everything. The water is running like there's no drought.
No drought. Yeah. No, I get it.
Yeah, that's a big, it's a myth, and it's a huge misunderstanding, and it's a very unfair balance, unfair balance to require everything from the farmer.
Yeah, 100%. It really does lean into this imbalance of power across the supply chain that doesn't seem to be sorting itself out. And, you have a few projects coming in the future that we hope will take care of those things. I have a few projects in the future that I hope will help start to take care of some of those things, but we're not even close. As an industry, we're not even close to getting, but we are finding some successes. And so, folks, in the last episode of this series, we're going to be talking about the success of direct trade. So join us in the next episode. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for tuning in, friends. There are 2 ways you can support this podcast. Firstly, become a paid member of our YouTube channel. Secondly, you can join our Patreon for as little as $3 a month. Don't forget to subscribe and like this video before you leave, and check the show notes for more information. Now, this is what you should check out next.